Anse, I'm Chris Nachkate. Welcome to APTN National News Daytime. Thank you for joining us. A teacher and 3 students are still in hospital with serious injuries after what is believed to be a mother grizzly bear attacked about 20 students and staff during a field trip in Bella Coola, BC last Thursday. Efforts are now underway to capture the bear involved in the attack, along with her 2 cubs. CTV's Craig Krause reports.
A community still in shock.
My heart and my healing strength go out to them.
Towards the group of elementary school students and their teacher who were attacked by a grizzly bear while out on a field trip Thursday afternoon.
I am worried about my granddaughter.
The grandmother of one of the children critically injured speaking to CTV News as the 9-year-old undergoes surgery in Vancouver.
She has a fractured shoulder, fractured elbow, and a fractured ankle. Ankle and arm will have to have pins put in them.
A road to recovery ahead, but the physical and emotional scars will remain.
We don't want anybody to go through this alone.
The Newelk Nation swiftly implementing counseling and other services alongside Vancouver Coastal Health, First Nations Health Authority, and the Indian Residential School Survivors Society.
It was just such a traumatic event that involved so many people and a lot of other agencies that had to come in to support.
As for the bear, it remains at large. BC Conservation says traps have been set up and cameras are being installed, but no decision has been made on whether to euthanize the bear if it is caught. A concern for some, as anxiety is high.
This was like a lightning strike, and it is not a time to lock and load and start shooting at the sky.
BC Conservation says the goal is to get the bear to act naturally, and that's more likely to happen if people stay out of the area. Craig Crowe, CTV News, Bella Coola.
A Regina police officer who served for 22 years was charged with breach of trust and unauthorized use of a computer has pleaded guilty to the charges. Sergeant Robert Eric Semenchuk was charged back in March, accused of using an internal police database to pursue what police called personal and intimate relationships with a number of women. Semenchuk was suspended with pay when the allegations were brought forward in 2023. Last Friday in a Regina courtroom, Semenchuk entered a guilty plea to both charges. He'll be back in court for sentencing in January. The Regina Police Service have since introduced new policies to ensure the issue doesn't happen again. Police are investigating a sudden death in a First Nation in northwestern Ontario. According to the Anishinaabe-Aski Police Service, a deceased adult male was located in the morning hours of Friday, November 21st in Sandy Lake First Nation. The NAPS crime unit continues to work with the Ontario Provincial Police and the Coroner's Office of Ontario. Police says there is no ongoing threat to public safety, but won't be providing any further details. The investigation continues this week. Sandy Lake First Nation is accessible by ice road or plane, and it's located about 600 kilometers northwest of Thunder Bay. The Ontario Provincial Police have released a new video asking for the public to come forward with tips that could lead to an arrest for the death of 21-year-old Lonnie Chum. Chum was involved in an early morning hit and run more than 2 years ago. A $100,000 reward still remains. Here's an update from the OPP.
She was only 21 when she died. We believe that she was struck by a pickup truck at approximately 3 a.m. that morning. Despite extensive investigation, we're still trying to uncover the truth in Lonnie's tragic death. A joint $100,000 reward is being offered for information in this case. This reward comes from the Government of Ontario and Moose Cree First Nation leadership for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person responsible for Lonnie Chum's death. The OPP and Anishinaabe-Aski Police Service are asking anyone who has information to come forward and help provide answers for Lonnie's family. If you have information, call the OPP, or to remain anonymous, contact Crime Stoppers.
The Assembly of First Nations expressed their concern over Alberta's use of the notwithstanding clause to, quote, limit the rights of two-spirit and trans youth within the province. The notwithstanding clause allows a provincial or territorial government to make laws that override certain parts of the Charter of Rights for up to 5 years. Alberta recently enacted the notwithstanding clause for 3 pieces of legislation affecting transgender people. They prevent trans people assigned male at birth from participating in women's sports, require schools to obtain parental consent when a trans student changes their name or pronouns, and prohibits gender-affirming medical treatments for trans minors. In an open letter to Premier Daniel Smith, the chair of AFN's 2S LGBTQ+ Council, Dwayne Oquan, claimed the province's actions directly threaten the safety of Indigenous youth and can't be used to strip their inherent rights. They call on Alberta to withdraw the legislation or at least exempt Indigenous people from its application. Nunavut's government leadership was sworn in late last week following the first sitting of the 7th Legislative Assembly. Here's APTN's Justin Hardy with more.
The swearing in of Nunavut's new government leadership was held following the first sitting of the 7th Legislative Assembly. During that meeting, each of the MLAs sworn in earlier in the day had the opportunity to give thanks and address the House as representatives of this government for the first time.
Mr. Speaker, I did not put my name forward for cabinet as the voters of Cambridge Bay wanted an MLA to sit on this side of the House to be able to ask the government representatives tough and credible questions. This is what I will be doing during the 7th Assembly.
After that sitting was concluded, the Assembly was summoned back to the House to allow the swearing in of the Executive Council, starting with Premier John Mayne, who spoke of working together during his first speech as Premier.
Let us help us by collaboration so we can put forth what needs to be done. And if we don't do our job or have sidetracked, we will be accountable.
The ceremony also revealed the new cabinet's roles. Each ministry was assigned by the Premier and announced as each new cabinet member was sworn in. Along with the Premier's seat, John Mayne will be serving as the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Executive and Intergovernmental Affairs. George Hicks has been named Deputy Premier, Minister of Justice, and Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure Nunavut. David Akayuk was assigned Government House Leader, Minister of Education, and the Minister responsible for Nunavut Arctic College. Janet Bisirok Brewster will serve as Health Minister. Gwen Healy-Akayuk is the new Minister of Family Services and the Minister responsible for the Killick Energy Corporation. Brian Kunu has been assigned Minister of Environment and Minister of Culture and Heritage. Cecile Nilvana Lyle is the Minister responsible for the Nunavut Housing Corporation. Craig Samailak was named Minister of Community Services, and Annie Tatwini will serve as the Minister of Human Resources. Mayne says that each assignment was carefully considered.
You're looking at members' strengths, their educational background, their work experience, and also what they're interested in. So there is an aspect of consultation to the process of assigning portfolios. Looking at the team, I'm so excited. We have such a strong cabinet.
The next sitting of the Legislative Assembly will not be held until the new year. Justin Hardy, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
This past weekend, Métis Nation Saskatchewan held its fall Métis National Legislative Assembly. The agenda included discussions on the nation's response to the federal budget and MNS socio-economic impact. APTN video journalist Rachel May met with MNS officials ahead of the meetings and brings us this report.
We're very grateful for the Indigenous streams of funding, particularly in the new funding areas such as infrastructure.
Finance Minister for MNS Marg Friesen spoke about the successes and ongoing concerns within the recent federal budget ahead of the Métis Nation Legislative Assembly. With $10 billion set aside for Indigenous involvement in major projects, $3 billion for Canada Infrastructure Bank investments, and $2.8 billion for urban, rural, and northern Indigenous housing strategies, there is plenty of potential benefit. But Friesen says there is still a significant gap.
However, there's no Métis distinct or Métis specific stream for funding. We have to compete with our First Nations relations and our Inuit relations for the same dollars.
She adds that funding requires proposals, and without multi-year agreements, long-term support is not guaranteed. Another major topic is the new socioeconomic report carried out by MNP. The report looked at fiscal years 2017-2018 to 2023-2024 and found that for every $1 spent by MNS, $2 goes back into Saskatchewan's economy. President Glenn McCallum says the data shows that the nation is moving in the right direction.
The biggest takeaway that you can get from the Métis Nation is taxpayers' dollars. And the importance of those taxpayers' dollars doing the things that we need to do for our people. And it has shown a lot of good results and good outcomes in regards to what we've done. But we got to continue telling that story.
He says he will keep working towards building a stronger nation for Métis citizens in Saskatchewan.
So at the end of the day, individuals win, communities win, big cities win, provinces win, and Canada wins.
The fall MNLA can be live streamed on the MNS website or attended in person at Prairieland Park in Saskatoon from November 22nd to 23rd. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
A deadline is fast approaching for the Government of Canada to present a national long-term reform plan for the child welfare system. The Canadian Human Rights Tribunal wants that plan presented on December 22nd. A commission of chiefs established by the AFN to negotiate a new deal in the aftermath of a failed $47.8 billion proposal. It has so far failed to get a meeting with Indigenous Services Minister Mandy Golmasti. The National Children's Chiefs Commission, or NCCC, is also trying to secure roughly $9 million in federal funding for negotiations on child welfare reform. NDP MP Laurie Idlaut called on Minister Golmasti to meet with the NCCC.
The government has legal obligations to First Nations children, but the minister has stopped doing the work. This inaction is costing children their lives. The National Children's Chief Commission is being ignored. The Liberals would rather pay lawyers to fight with First Nations children. Will the minister commit to permanently stop discriminating against First Nations children, or will she continue to make lawyers rich?
The Honourable Minister of Indigenous Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First Nations children need to be guided by self-determination, and that is the pull that we are using to proceed with this work. I have on multiple occasions met with many people looking to serve and bring forward solutions for Indigenous children in community, and I think this is what I invite my colleague to do with me, is to find that path forward and respond to the urgency that is needed in this file for solutions that will deliver the proper care for children surrounded by their family, in community, in their own language, by those that care for them the most. Thank you.
We have more news after the break. Stay with us. welcome back. Last Thursday was the annual International Transgender Day or Remembrance, or TDOR. It's a day to reflect on trans and gender diverse people who've lost their lives due to anti-trans violence. Canada is witnessing an increase in anti-trans sentiment, according to the 2S LGBTQ advocacy organization, EGAL. EGAL points to transphobic government policies around healthcare and freedom of expression for trans youth in school as part of the issue. They say recent legislation in provinces like Alberta and Saskatchewan put trans people at greater risk for violence and suicide. Cookum Gail Prudence spoke at TDOR during last week's event in Winnipeg. She says despite the discrimination transgender and two-spirit people still face today, she is happy to see so many societal changes that her community fought for.
We couldn't turn to the police, we couldn't turn to the ambulance. All they did was laugh at us, mock us, make fun of us, and they were able to get away with it. And we had no human rights. But today, at the age I'm at, seeing how lifted the two-spirit is, almost getting back to the place where we once belonged, where we once were, instead of being swept under the rug. It's so beautiful to see across Canada, seeing so many of these two-spirit organizations finally being recognized, finally being loved, finally leading their own people, leading them in a good way, always loving, always caring, always helping. I love seeing that. We didn't have that.
We now want to tell you about last week's web poll questions. Last week we asked, does the Cowichan ruling concern you about private land ownership in Canada? 60% had said no, 25% voted yes, and 15% said they were unsure. Our next question we asked, do you support the proposed expansion of the Port of Churchill? 48% voted yes, 36% said no, and 16% were unsure. And lastly, we asked, should someone convicted of multiple homicides of Indigenous people have to serve consecutive life sentences rather than concurrent? 75% said yes, they should serve sentences one after another. 14% said they were unsure, and 11% said no, they should serve sentences at the same time. Thanks to all who took the time to vote. You can go to our website at aptnnews.ca/poll to cast your ballot for this week's website poll questions. We'll take you to this year's Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week when we come back after the break. Stay with us. Moolalin for staying with us. St. John's 4, Halifax 3, and cloudy. Nujuak -2, La Grande River 0. -3 in Saguenay, Quebec City 0. Peterborough 4, Toronto 6. Sudbury 0, Sioux Lookout sunny and 2. Churchill -7, Puckatawagan -7 and cloudy. Princess Harbor sunny and 0, Gimli -1. Regina -3, Saskatoon -9. Meadow Lake -7, La Ronge -9. -10 and sunny and high level, Peace River -8. Lethbridge 0, Red Deer -3. Rain in Tofino at 6, Vancouver and 7. Dees Lake -8, Fort Nelson -10. Old Crow -18, Mayo -13. Watii -14, Fort Simpson sunny and -13. -9 in Sax Harbor, Polituck -9. -17 in Baker Lake, Chesterfield -11. And Arctic Bay -24, Aglulik -17 and sunny. Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week started last Wednesday night. As APTN's Tina House tells us, organizers are saying the event was an empowering experience.
The 2025 Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week kicked off with the Red Dress Night in honor of murdered and missing women and girls, choreographed by Madeline McCallum. The powerful tribute was meant to raise further awareness of the crisis of MMIWG in Canada. Mandy Campbell was the MC for the evening and says everyone felt the emotions of the opening number.
I cried. I was bawling my eyes out behind the stage, and then our crew all surrounded me and they're all holding me and we're all supporting each other in this moment because we all feel the same, that we all have such a huge passion to bring awareness, to bring that light to this dark part of our country. It's a national crisis and we need to do every single thing we can. And not only do we need to find our people, but we need to empower our young people.
And the rest of the night was all about empowerment, as Indigenous designers showcased their unique designs over 4 days at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre, including Yolanda Skelton, who says her latest collection was inspired by wind and the ancestors.
It makes me very emotional, actually. When I walked out, I was watching on the monitor behind, I was seeing them, and I was feeling it, and I was looking at them, and I was like so inspired, because as I was making each piece, I thought about each of my models and who would fit it the best. And then when I saw them walk it, I was so proud. I was so proud of all of those young people, because they brought to life my work.
And for first-time designer Maynard Johnny Jr., who's already an accomplished artist, he was inspired to make a collection dedicated to men.
It's hard to find men's fashion, let alone Indigenous men's fashion, so I felt there was a need for it, and that's kind of what got me rolling on this.
Movie icon Tantu Cardinal was part of this year's Fashion Week, walking for Leslie Hampton. She says the event is making a huge impact, and she's glad to be a part of it.
Each model that comes out, they bring a different air to it, you know? And they're celebrating the clothes that they're wearing, and overall they're celebrating the designer, and the designer is celebrating who they are and where they come from. You know, it's really an amazing thing.
And for VIFW General Manager Caroline Phelps, VIFW is getting bigger and better every year.
I'm a residential day school survivor, so my passion for art and the revitalization of our culture is really important to my heart.
With over 23 designers showcasing over 4 days and over 100 Indigenous models, Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week has taken over Vancouver. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Looking good, Tina. A museum in Toronto has reopened its doors after undergoing 16 months of renovations. It's a fresh new look that offers space to house Indigenous ceramic artworks. Here's APTN's Annette Francis with that story.
The Gardner Museum is located in downtown Toronto. The main floor was closed due to the major overhaul. It now features the first ever Indigenous ceramics gallery.
The idea was to really center Indigenous cultural expression at the Gardner, to create a defined area where we could really highlight belongings from different Indigenous communities. We partnered with two communities in particular, both Six Nations of the Grand River and a number of nations in Manitoulin Island.
The museum first opened its door 40 years ago. It's the only Canadian museum that's dedicated to ceramics across the globe.
Ceramics is a phenomenal material because it's something that we all have a relationship with in one way or another. It can be a cup, it can be a plate, it can be something in our bathrooms even. It's a medium that is intimately familiar to all of us, and it's something that really has helped to describe what it means to be human over millennia. So many societies around the world have used ceramics to fulfill some of our basic needs.
According to Chief Curator Sequoia Miller, the $15 million transformation has been a hit with the public.
We've been able to put on view so many more ceramics than we have in the past, both within our permanent collection galleries and also with our open collection display cases in various parts of the museum. In this Indigenous gallery, we've brought in a number of belongings that have been loaned to us by individuals, by families, by institutions, so we're also able to bring in entirely new types of work into the museum.
Miller even has some favorites.
In this gallery, I love David Migwan's bowl with the aliens. I think it's really funny, but also really beautiful.
Miller says a new space means Indigenous works will continue to be front and center for everyone to see. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Toronto.
And that's your daytime newscast for this Monday, November 24th. We're back again with your evening newscast in a few hours. Please join us then. Hi, miigwech, masicho. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next day.